Panties analysis. Gussets. It's most common to find the top edge of the gusset serged and not fastened to the main fabric. Cotton is mostly commonly used for gussets, although cheaper panties, usually made with a younger target market in mind, use synthetics. Gusset fabrics is typically very thin and usually stretchy. Elastics. Elastics can be applied in many different ways on many different areas of the panty. It is common for the elastics to be located at the top of the waistband and the leg holes of the panty for either structure and or fit. Elastic is most often used as a stabilizer for lace garments. Elastic is most commonly zigzagged in place. Elastic can be used to create ruching effects. Edge finishes. Common finishes include lace trim, serging, and zigzagging, folding, cover stitching, folding and zigzagging, or leaving a raw edge. For the most part, edges were finished in less bulky methods to prevent a visible panty line through clothing. Seams. Seams were kept low profile and were usually serged. Middle to high price points tack down the serging, while cheap panties will usually just be serged. Many seams made with lace and normal fabric will be sewn to overlap, not right sides together to avoid bulk. Bra analysis. Channeling and underwires. Almost all bras use the same method of installation of the channeling, which is to straight stitch it in 2 rows over the seams created by the cups and the cradle, hiding the seam allowance. The size and curvature of the wire is very dependent on the size, style, and coverage of the bra. Throughout different price points, the channeling looks like it was done in the same way. Cups. Smaller cup sizes require less darts and seams because the volume of the breast is less. In contrast, larger cup sizes need more seams and darts to account for the volume and shape of the bust. Larger cup sizes often have one horizontal and one vertical seam because the shape of the cup needs to curve in more than one place. There are many different styles of cups with varying levels of coverage. Each might fit differently depending on the shape of the individual's breast shape, size, and orientation. Different styles can be used to minimize, accentuate certain parts of the breast. Cups can be stretchy, but a structured bra will have non-stretch cups. Cradle. Made from a stable, woven, non-stretch fabric as it is a high stress point. It can be a small piece of fabric that connects the 2 cups at the center, front, or a piece that wraps under the underwire channeling and connects to the wings on the sides. Underband finishing. Generally, smaller bra sizes used thinner elastics for the underband, and larger sizes had thicker, wider elastics. A thicker band would give greater support as well as dig into the skin less. The most common way to sew in an elastic underband is to zigzag the elastic to the right side of the fabric. Flip it under to the wrong side and then top stitch with a zigzag. There might be some elastic on non-stretchy parts such as the cradle. This might be to protect the skin because the elastic has a soft backing, or for structure since the elastic might be more rigid than the fabric itself. Straps. Smaller sizes had narrow straps. Larger bra sizes had wider straps. Many straps were elastics with brushed backs so as to not irritate the skin. Almost all straps were attached with bar tacks. Loops in the strap for hardware were also sewn in with bar tacks. Many straps for elastics had unfinished ends but did not fray. Wings. It is common to find a non-stretch part of the cradle of a separate panel in between the channeling and the wing to provide structure and stability. Many bras have stretch wings attached directly to the channeling. Usually smaller bra sizes have narrower wings because of the shape and size of the cup, but also because of the distribution of pressure. Smaller sizes need to support less volume and therefore do not need as much structural support. Usually bigger bra sizes have wider wings to combat the volume of the breasts. A wider band also prevents digging in and pinching that a smaller band may create on a larger figure. My conclusion. After visiting La Vie en Rose and seeing other references from Victoria's Secret and Forever Yours, it became clear which types of techniques are used on lingerie compared to others used on knit garments. In general, a wide variety of trims, notions, and fabrics are used on lingerie. For example, it is common to see pico-elastic, channeling, power mesh, non-stretch cotton, and all sorts of materials on this type of commodity. While some of it is due to design choice, a lot of these materials are required for structural and fit purposes. For example, the wings of a bra need to be able to stretch around the body, so they were usually made from a knit material. However, the material could differ depending on the design or intended use. On the other hand, bras should not stretch in the cradle or center front region, so non-stretch fabric will be placed there to keep the bra secure and structural against the body. The same premise will apply with underwear. Often panties will be entirely made from one stretchy fabric, except for the gusset. Usually the gusset will be cotton. This is done to help with breathability, comfort, and structure. Nonetheless, there are still times when panties will not have gussets to create a more seamless look. Other than for structural and fit reasons, lingerie contains a variety of materials to hide raw edges and to clean up the garment. In doing this, the garments become more unique and visually appealing too. Usually higher-end companies will carry garments made with more types of materials. For example, there may be lace trim, elastic trim, stretch lace, stretch cell fabric, and non-stretch gusset fabric on only one pair of panties. While this may be expensive, higher-end brands have the money to produce this. Variety in materials are still seen on the middle ground companies like Levian Rose and Victoria's Secret. However, the quality in materials usually differs, and sometimes notions will not match in color. The same premise goes with even cheaper brands. The last key detail found on many lingerie pieces is the use of the zigzag stitching. While it is common to always serge knit garments together, it is a little less common to serge all places of lingerie together. If all seams and notions were serged together, the garment would become quite bulky and uncomfortable against the skin. For my first panty, I referenced this thong here. This is from a European brand called Tidzenis. You can see that it's got two back panels and one front panel and elastic trim on the waistband and just a serged edge for the leg holes. These are my pattern pieces, and I've got a back and a front. The front sits on a fold and the back would be cut in two pieces. The gusset was pretty simple. It sits essentially just right on the front panel like that, and there would be 0.6 centimeter seam allowance all around, except for the front panel being on the fold. Here are my front and back panels together, and the side seams, like I said again, with 0.6 centimeter seam allowance. Here are my final panties. I did not use the same kind of jersey knit fabric for these, but instead a rib knit cotton fabric. I used elastic trim for the waistband and for the leg holes. What I did was, instead of serging the leg hole like the reference panty, I zigzag stitched it once and then flipped it and zigzag stitched it again, and did the same for the other leg hole. I just serged the back seam to join the two pieces, and for the gusset I accidentally did not serge the top of the gusset before sewing it into my panty. It should have been, but I did not. When sewing on the elastic to the leg holes, I made sure to stretch it a bit just to give the fabric more structure, since it was quite loose and did not retain its shape after being worn without elastic in it. My second panty pattern was a G-string, and this pattern was very straightforward, just a triangle essentially. This was the reference panty from Levian Rose. That gusset was actually serged and then zigzag stitched down, which you don't see in the last panty reference that I used, but this one had it. For my pattern, like I said, it was just very simple, just a triangle that was folded in half so that it would be cut on fold, and the gusset would just be a smaller triangle that would fit into where the gusset would sit. For my panty design, I wanted to do an open butt design rather than a G-string, and so what I changed really was I didn't tack down the strap, the G-string strap at the bottom, but instead looped the point to make a channel for the elastic to go through. I also used the same method where I zigzag stitched the elastic trim to the hem and turned it over and zigzag stitched it again to finish it. For my bra pattern, I used the block that was given in class to modify it from. What I did first was I made the block and cut out the different pieces and added a centimeter of seam allowance to the cradle and the strap pieces, and just a 0.6 seam allowance for the cups. For the strap, I took off 4 centimeters for negative ease and curved it a bit more. Here's my cradle and my strap. The strap would be flipped over. The top of the cradle would be flipped over, and both sides of the strap would be flipped over to create a clean finish. So here's how my final bra turned out. There are quite a few changes that I would make for next time when doing this. Right off the bat, you can see that I obviously did not pull the elastic enough all around in the entire process of making my bra. In comparison to the reference I have here, from between the strap to the cradle to the top band strap, it's obviously not pulled and curved enough, and the strap on the side sits too loosely instead of being stretched further. You can see from the inside that I also did not pull it enough in between the cradle there, in between the cups.